Welcome back to Michelle's Kitchen. Today we are making some of my famous Trifecta Formula of cannabis tincture. The Trifecta Formula is 1-to-1 ratio of 6 different cannabinoids. So we've got our THC and CBD activated in this, which I've already prepared. And then, so that's your neutral THC and CBD. And over here, this is our activated CBG. This is our CBDA. This is our CBGA. And this is our THCA right here. All right, so this is a fairly complicated formula. Not really something that I think most beginners would attempt. What I see on the internet when it comes to beginning work is usually like, I'm going to make a THC tincture, that kind of thing, or CBD. But I believe in total spectrum. What is total spectrum? Total spectrum is all the cannabinoids I can possibly get into one formula. It's like an expanded version of the entourage effect. So the entourage effect, as you might know, is one where when you are taking whole plant cannabis, you know, you are getting the benefit of the cannabinoids plus the terpenes, flavonoids, and all the other plant material that you've ingested or taken from that whole plant, instead of just an isolated cannabis chemical like THC in its molecular form as an isolate is not as effective as THC from the plant. Let's give a real world analogy. So if you were going to eat a lemon for the sake of having some vitamin C in your life, vitamin C from a capsule is good and is just vitamin C. Doesn't have any of the juice of the lemon, doesn't have any of the terpene smell of the lemon, doesn't have any of the sugars and acids that are found in the lemon. So we all know that taking a pill of vitamin C is not like eating a lemon. So taking an isolate of THC is not like, you know, using the whole plant. So, okay. So this is going to be interesting because how I like to do things is the British baking show way. Once I found out about using the scale to cook with or to bake with, especially to measure out ingredients when you're baking from the British baking show, I was hooked immediately. That is a really excellent way to measure, especially for baking, when you want to get everything precise. And our volumetric measurements here in the United States, for example, like things like cups, you know, can weigh different amounts depending on what's in it. You know, like a cup full of cannabis is going to weigh different from a cup full of water. So I really enjoy doing this by weighing. This is an Ardent FX. It is a decarboxylator and an infuser, and it also can bake. It's hilariously referred to as the Easy Bake Ardent by some of the team there. And it costs about $300 something, maybe almost $400. It can process your cannabis if you're starting from flower, like I almost always do these days, being a cannabis gardener. You can decarboxylate your cannabis in this very easily. All you do is put the cannabis inside, press the A1 or A2 button, depending on what kind of cannabinoids are in your cannabis, and walk away for a while. When you come back and the button has gone from red to green, your cannabis has been decarboxylated, which is excellent, which is a great way to activate it. Today, we're going to put it on our scale. So I've got my scale in grams, and I'm going to tare it, T-A-R-E, which means zero it out with the Ardent on it. So now the weight of the Ardent is not affecting the weight that I see on the scale as 0. Okay, the limiting factor today is this amount of CBGA. This is all I have that's activated, and I don't want to take the time. So this amount of CBGA is going in there, and we're going to find out how much it is. It's 23 grams. Oh, that is so perfect, because this recipe actually works out best if you do it by the ounce. Because the Ardent can hold 4 ounces, it's just perfect. Okay, actually, you know what? That's not actually perfect. 23 grams. That's not going to be it. Okay, I'm going to half this. So I'm going to pour out about 12 of the grams. Let's see what we've got now. 17. 14. 16. Yeah, that's great. Okay. happens is that I have already decarboxylated a bunch of THC and CBD together. So I'm just going to use that to make this formula. It's already mixed. Well, just in case, let's mix it just to make sure. Since I grow most of my cannabis that I'm using, or if I buy it for the CBD, I don't usually grow CBD, I only grow THC usually, rich cannabis, because that's what works out financially to be like a really smart move these days, because you can buy CBD in America online very easily and very inexpensively. I basically focus my gardening efforts with my husband on THC rich cannabis. Okay, so what we had was 23 grams, and we did half of that. That's 1, 2, 12, 16. Okay, so I should actually put just a little bit less, maybe more like 12 grams. 15. Perfect. All right, what we've got now is 12 grams of CBG, to which I am adding THC and CBD. This is going to equal 24 grams. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the scale, and I am making sure that we hit the number. 12. Well, 24 actually. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now what's in there is 12 grams of CBG, 12 grams of THC, 12 grams of CBD, and we just keep going. So here's our THC. It's easy for me, it's all already done, and I decarboxylate a lot in my jars, and then I store it for later use. But a lot of people don't do that. They decarboxylate like immediately before making their tinctures. Perfect. And so because I already have it stored sort of just like a dry spice, then I don't have to really worry about that. But I do have to make these every so often. And something that I do special for my tinctures, because I make them for my family members who tend to not really like the taste of cannabis, is the Jeff Danzer way of soaking and blanching the cannabis ahead of time so that it has much less taste. Does that get rid of good things like terpenes? Yeah, it does. Does it get rid of things like cannabinoids? No, it does not. So cannabinoids are there, terpenes are kind of gone. It's okay. I'm happy to get cannabinoids into the people that I love. So we're almost there. We've got CBD is our last thing to go in. I zero out in between each one so that I don't have to do any math of figuring out like, oh no, I forgot to zero out. It said 24 and then I'm adding 12. What's that? 36, right. Okay, good. I mean, most people don't really like to do math, and I'm kind of one of them. All right, here we go. There we go. Everything's in terms of cannabis. Oh no. The next thing we need, this earrings are always falling off. I need to get those little backers for them. The next thing we need is an oil. So something I commonly use is Mct oil. Okay, so this is a little bit different. Most people wouldn't probably do it this way, but you should calculate your dosage ahead of time and again afterward, typically. So what we've got in here is 12 grams of every cannabinoid. Basically, they're all the same. And to be honest with you, since I grow most of this stuff, the potencies are like sort of a guess, but not exactly. I pin it at about 15 milligrams per 15% potency, which is 150 milligrams per gram. So let's just go with that, because that's pretty much what it is across the board. Most of these cannabis varietals, you'll see the vast majority are in between like 10 and 18 percent potency. So the question that we get a lot as cannabis coaches is, what if I don't know the potency of my cannabis? What if it's not lab tested, or I grew it myself, or whatever, I got it from someone who doesn't know the potency? That's so common, very, very common, and my best advice there is to just go with 15%, or if you do know anything about the cannabis at all, you can look it up on Leafly and find out what its average potency is and what you think it might be, because there are quality things you can tell if you're looking at the cannabis, smelling the cannabis, and if it's excellent quality with excellent pungent flavors and great color and beautiful form, it could very well be extremely potent. If it looks kind of like uncolorful, it doesn't smell excellent, it doesn't have a good fragrant aroma, then it's probably lower quality. Think about it like evaluating a flower or any kind of fruit, like by smell, by taste, by looks. Use our senses. However, 15% is also an excellent way to sort of just average it out. I hate for people to get confused and to get hung up on dosage, because it is an area where people just get freaked out. But honestly, after all this time, I've developed a sort of attitude about it that it's all going to work out. So just make things. Because here's the thing, you could make something with cannabis, you have no idea what potency it is. And you can just go ahead and make that, and then you can just go ahead and try it. And you will figure out very quickly what potency it is, because that's the way cannabis is. If it's like THC, for example, if it's like CBD, let's go with 15%, and if it works for you, great, and if it doesn't work for you, try more, try less. That's where the way that you handle it in your everyday life, when you're taking it as a tincture and you're titrating up and down with your dose, kind of comes into play. I know a lot of people won't necessarily agree with me, but there it is. Okay, so if we're taking 15% for all of our cannabis, which is a super smart thing to do, and will get you pretty much there, and done is better than perfect. What we have in here is 6 times 12 grams of each kind of cannabis. 12 times 150 is 150 times 12. 2000130. I mean, yes, I just do math. 051 0081. 1800. Perfect. Okay, so 1800 times 6 will give us our total cannabinoids all across the board. But 1800 tells me a lot. So 1800 tells me that what I'm looking for with this formula is each ounce to have 300 milligrams. So 1800 divided by 300 is great. That is 6. Yeah. Okay, so I can make 6 ounces of what I want to make with this formula. Perfect. Now I know how much oil to put in. And, let's use tools. Because why? Because we're humans and tools make things easier. Probably should get the scissors for this, but whatever. On those cooking shows, they don't have these problems. Some assistant person comes through and gets all this stuff ready. You don't have to worry about opening your oil on camera, right? Oh, and look, there's the little thing. Woohoo! Okay. I just happen to have a little ounce measurer right here, so this is 2 ounces per tiny cup, right? 1, 2, 3. Whew. And you know what else we need to put in here? Lecithin. And you know where the lecithin is? Up high. Pretty sure it's up high. Yep, of course it is. Yep. No, I don't even know where it is. Oh, there it is. Yay, it's not up high. Ta-da, lecithin. So lecithin is a food that comes from soy or sunflowers that is a good emulsifier. Some people don't like the taste. This, especially the soy kind, is particularly hated by the people who eat way cleaner than me. But it's the kind that gets delivered very easily to my house. I'm thinking about switching over to the sunflower kind. I just have to use that kind up. Why waste it? But maybe for you, if you're going to buy new, you might consider that argument for yourself. Okay, let's see what we've got here. The problem with my total spectrum formula is that the amount of ounces of oil that we're going to get out of this is not really enough, you know? Like, I use so much cannabis that the raffinate, which is the leftover cannabis plant material, soaks up a lot of the oil, and 6 ounces just isn't even enough to cover this. So we're going to have to put in a little bit more oil so that we'll see it covered. Looks like maybe even twice as much. Perfect. All right. Next thing we're going to do with our Ardent is put the lid on, and because this is like an infusion, we're just going to use the infuse button, which is labeled infuse, and come back to it in an hour or so. See you then. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to explore my other blog posts and sign up for my newsletter. If you have any questions about how cannabis can improve your health and fit into your lifestyle, sign up for a free consultation at www.cannacuriouscoaching.com.